Hello, everyone. Welcome to Patriots III Life, Liberty, Pursuit of Happiness. And here's your hosts, Tim, Cam, and John Valle. And John, you're going to be a permanent here, so you are now officially a host. So definitely catch John every first and third Tuesday of every month. And we're going to be talking about the world news and views with John. So definitely be sure to like, share, and follow on Tim Holliday TV. We're on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch TV, and also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So welcome, Cam, John. How's everything going?
Good. What's going on, guys?
Not a whole lot. Looks like we're going to be talking about Iran, a little bit more about that, because we did cover it last time you were on, and we're going to be covering some more elections, too. We're going to be talking a little bit about the SAVE Act as well, and definitely have more as well to fill in here's and there's. So, John, go ahead and take it.
Yeah, and when we get into the elections, when we get down to there, since Cam's in Virginia, it'll be quite interesting with your moderate governor, so we'll get into that. But first to Iran, a lot of development since we've been talking. I think in our last podcast there was kind of a different thought process when we were going to hit Iran and how we're going to hit it and stuff like that. Yeah. And we've just seen so much since then. I mean, the news cycle is kind of crazy now. Yeah. It used to be, growing up, we had the main news stations and there'd be one story. Now it's like every hour there's something going on,
Yeah.
So anyway, so to Iran, we continue to stack assets in the Middle East, and I think you have some graphs and stuff like that, Tim. But we continue to stack assets in the Middle East. Presently, we do have 2 aircraft carrier strike groups. We have the Gerald Ford and the Lincoln over there. And I don't know if you got that graph there. Yeah, I'll show you. So what's interesting about, the Gerald Ford and the Lincoln is, each one has 9 squadrons of fighters on there.
Yeah.
And rumored to be going next would be the George Bush Strike Group after they do their Computex training, And it's very interesting on that graph. So we have 2 aircraft carrier strike groups, 15 destroyers. There is a few subs in there, which is actually what is really scaring Iran, and China is helping them. And I'll get to that in a minute. But, what you can't see and what you don't know is actually what scares you, right?
Yeah.
So there's 33% of the Navy fleet is there right now. I mean, we got assets in the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden, the Gulf of Oman, the Persian Gulf. So they're completely surrounded by sea. They're surrounded by land. Last time we went into, why everybody was like, hey, why are we making friends with Giuliani, the new president, head of Syria, who was the head of ISIS.
Yeah.
And we went over how we can go in through Syria, Tajikistan, through the Persian Gulf, through Iraq and different places. So they are completely surrounded, and more stuff's going. So there has been 99 airlifts since the 23rd, January 23rd. And what's interesting, what just went over there right now was a combat search and rescue aircraft that supported the Maduro raid. So they are now in the Middle East. Okay. We got F-35s from England. They're joining F-35s from Vermont that are going to Jordan right now. And there's 30 of those right now. You got a graph there of the E3s, and that's pretty interesting because I talked to you earlier today. If you want to put that video and that picture up of those E3s. So what's interesting about that is, for all you guys watching, me and Tim talked earlier today, and there was 2 that left Alaska. Those are the tankers that are flying over there right now.
Okay.
Refilling. That happened earlier today. Yeah. But if you got a video of that E3.
Oh, a video. Let me see here.
So we got 2 of those E3s that are they left Alaska and they're over there. But since we talked at what, 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock today. A
Yes.
third one has now been sent over there from Alaska.
Wow.
So now you have a third E3 Sentry from Alaska on the way over there. And then what was very, very, very interesting is the U-2 spy plane. They call it Dragon Lady. You got a picture of that? So those of you guys remember the U-2 spy planes, I think we got a picture of that. That is over there right now. That just landed in Jordan.
Beautiful.
So it's
plane.
very interesting, the air assets that are going over there. Now, I've seen a lot of commentary on Twitter and social media, Rumble, Facebook. Hey, this is, you need a lot more. There's not enough naval power if you look at all the stuff that was built up. And I would counter that by saying, hey, look at the new tech that's being sent over there. Look what they did to Maduro in Venezuela with the discombobulator,
Yeah.
So we don't know what Trump's going to do. What I had suggested the last one was like, if you wanted to go in there with minimal casualties, how would you knock out all their systems and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking
EMP.
EMP, that we would use an EMP, So,
Yeah.
with all the tech out there, who knows what we're going to do? But it's always comical looking on Twitter and social media and see the armchair generals second guessing what's going on. And I mean, not real armchair generals, just like the public,
Yeah.
But anyways, we got a lot of air assets going. And now we know that China's satellites are providing, it's just come out through Tulsi Gabbard and the DNI and NSA that China satellites are providing 24/7, 365 coverage.
Wow.
We're talking signals intelligence. We're talking terrain, mapping, telemetry, radar, imaging, optical, infrared, ISR, all that stuff. They're providing all that stuff to Iran. And we're seeing the planes come in from China and come in from Russia. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're delivering, what's going on there.
Yeah.
Currently today, I think they are still negotiating. They broke off negotiations for the day, but they are negotiating in Europe right now. But behind the scenes, they know what's coming. They know the U.S. and Israeli attack is coming.
Yeah.
If you look at what they're doing behind the scenes, such as burying Esfahan tunnels to Esfahan, their nuclear site, they're burying the Talakani 2 site. They're transferring anti-ship missiles to the Persian Gulf to the coast, including to Abu Musa and Tum Island. They're hardening their ballistic missile sites. So they, behind the scenes, as they're negotiating, they're doing all this stuff. So they know something, that is coming,
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. So about an hour ago, they said the negotiations went well. There's a couple things they're tinkering out. So let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But it looks like we're probably going to hit them pretty bad, So we also just sent over 36 F-16s and 12 F-22s again this morning.
Yeah.
So that's on top of everything already there. So there's literally an armada there. That's the George W. Bush. And as soon as it gets done with its training off the East Coast, it's going to be dispatched over there, is what they're saying. So let's see what happens. Maybe negotiations will come through. I think the sticking points are the uranium enrichment and stuff like that.
Okay.
Now, there is, there's always the risk with us striking Iran, what they have here in the United States. I know that Sean Ryan just dropped a video yesterday. I did watch it today to see if there was anything. For me personally, a China geek, there was nothing on there that interested me. It was for me personally, it was a waste of my time that I'll never get back. It was purely about Islamic terrorists here, but it was a lot of the same stuff that she had talked about before. So it's a lot of info I already know.
Okay.
But she did talk about, Iran, does have assets or sleeper cells or people here in the U.S., which we all know that, right? So it's nothing new. So there's a risk that when we hit Iran, and if we do hit Iran, what would happen here?
Yeah.
Not only do you have to contend with individual people here or groups here, right? They're hacking, right? Not only that, but we all know that, again, The new access is Iran, North Korea, Russia, and China. So any of those countries helping out Iran by hacking and doing other things. We saw what happened in Venezuela, and that was, right after that, that was the what was it, Verizon and the whatever after that.
Yeah, Verizon
so we'll
and
have
next.
to see what happens,
Yeah.
We'll have to see what happens. So it's interesting to see what's going on, and then over in your neck of the woods in Virginia, Cam, there's probably some movement over there in the naval yard, stuff like that. So
yeah.
So we'll see what's going on, but I think that we are gonna probably do limited strikes.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more movement. I actually, where I'm located is Virginia Beach, it's right off of Oceana. So we know when they start ramping up those jets even more so. We're used to the noise, but we can always tell when there's something going on for sure. For sure.
A little bit more noise than usual.
Oh yes. Yep. Yep. All hours of the night.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting. There was a lot of hubbub with if the George Bush goes over there, because now we only have 10 aircraft carriers. The Nimitz is getting decommissioned, so there's 10 flat tops out there, and a lot of them are going through maintenance and other stuff. So there's always kind of like, okay, what are we going to move here? What are we going to move there? So it's interesting to see what the move. Even right now, as we're talking, I guarantee there's more movement right now, but it's just a massive amount of air power over there right now. So we'll see what happens. But let's not forget, Europe's stacking stuff over there too. The last time we talked, Britain and France, and a lot of people were stacking their jets in Diego Garcia. They were also putting stuff in. The British were putting stuff in Jordan. And a lot of people say, hey, Jordan's like really close. Well, that base is really, really secure. There's a lot of stuff in Jordan, if people don't know. I have a guy who was a Marine. He was in tanks. That's all he did was tanks. He used to go over there and train the Jordanians how to use tanks. But since the Marines got rid of their tanks, he's not with the Marines no more. He decided to go to Army National Guard because he wanted to stay with tanks. So
yeah, nice.
Yeah. He was kind of mad. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to Idaho. I'm going to the Idaho Guard. I'm gonna stay with tanks. Yeah, but we have a lot. It's just like Bahrain. There's a lot of assets in Bahrain. There's a lot of assets in Jordan. So it will be interesting. Yeah, you got any questions?
Not as of right now. How about you, Cam?
I think it's just extremely interesting watching all this unfold and trying to put these puzzle pieces together, because I know that the typical thought process of people is, they're not really sure what's going on. They can feel the heat rising, but it's interesting to get this intel and start putting the pieces together.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, it's good, and I always try to bring it back to us, and how does that apply? How does that apply to us? What does that have to do? What's going on over there? What does that have to do with us? Well,
right.
Hey, we all know that for many years, especially Iran has had assets in here, and Russia. You call them sleeper cells, you call them people, whatever you want to vernacular you want to use. There's always a risk of these guys going active or whatever. And the border was unsealed for 4.5 years with Biden. And we really don't know. We really don't know how many people came in. We have an estimate. I think that when Sarah was talking about those particular numbers on the video that dropped last night, Sean Ryan, there was a couple different numbers, but I mean, do we really know? I mean, those are guys. I mean, here's a dirty little secret. You have the Coyotes bringing over most of the Sinaloa cartel, bringing over people. But if you really have money, you're going through the tunnels. You're going underground. You're going through the tunnels.
Right.
So their numbers are based on people that they're getting apprehended crossing the border, coming across Arizona, coming across. They don't have numbers for in the tunnels. You go in the tunnel, you pop out in San Diego somewhere,
Yeah.
So it's hard to get those numbers,
Right.
So those numbers can be deceiving. So we really don't have a real number. And anybody that says they do, even our government, I wouldn't bet my life on it. Yeah.
And there's a lot of different nationalities coming in through the southern border, and also some from the northern border. So I've seen reports of Chinese coming through, and other nationalities as well. So it's, and this
100%.
This is where some of the sleeper cells are coming in through.
Yeah. We've had a lot of info about in Virginia for sure. They lost people.
Yeah.
They just got right off when the whole fiasco with Afghanistan and all that happened.
Yeah.
We had so many reports and so many little sleeper cells around here that you can pretty much map, and it's ridiculous how much information you can find. It makes you feel really sick of what you don't know too.
Right. Yeah. And so, last Thursday's show, we talked about how the Biden administration just halted on building the wall. And that's something that the Trump voters voted for, is to build the wall, drain the swamp, so on and so forth. And, the Biden administration halted building the wall, and they started selling the metal. And John, I believe we were talking about that briefly last time you were on. And, hopefully we're able to buy it back cheap, but regardless, it shouldn't have been halted. And, the remains of the wall that were sitting there were sold off. There should have been a continuance.
I just saw something yesterday about we now have the material now, so now we're going to start finishing. And I forgot where it was posted. I think it was maybe DHS, maybe it was Christy Nome or somebody tweeted it, and I saw it on Twitter yesterday somewhere that we now have everything. So now we're going to start redoing the wall.
Well, I went ahead and I looked it up, and I saw 4 different projects: California, Texas, Arizona, and another one. So 2 different projects in Texas, and as well as California and Arizona. I saw a little hint of New Mexico, but there really wasn't much said about New Mexico. So
so that teases us off perfectly into what we're going to go into next, the elections.
Yes.
So I don't know if you got Trump's tweet. I sent it to you if you want to put it up on the screen. And basically, this is what we talked about last time, and I told you guys that he was probably going to do an executive order. And sure enough, he did this tweet. Now, the last time I was on your podcast was about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And within the 2 weeks, he tweeted this. So basically, if you are listening, let me put it this way. If you are following everything that I'm telling you, or you're following what's going on intently, you knew this was coming. And this is only makes sense. It's the only way he can go, right? So what he's trying to do is trying to show the people. So what he's saying there is that he's saying that basically he's going to make an executive order. And that's what I said last time he was going to do. It's only logical that that's what he was going to do.
Right.
Sure.
And I know people, they work. Hey, man, I work 9 hours a day minimum. Usually I'm on work 10 hours a day, right? But if you're watching intently and you're watching the stuff out there, this is exactly what was going to happen. So let's get into it. So basically, after the DOJ did the Georgia raid, right? FBI and DOJ did the Georgia raid, and Tulsi Gabbard was there. She basically, everybody saw her on the phone. She was basically talking to Trump. It did come out that she was talking to Trump, and basically says, hey, this is what we got. And you had all the different pictures of the ballots that they took, the ballots, the tapes, the ballot scanners, all the stuff. The famous picture of 3 ballots, right? 3 ballots, perfectly black circles, all the same serial number, mail-in ballots that had no creases, no folds, no nothing, right? So basically what they were saying was, hey, massive fraud in Fulton County, yada, yada, yada.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so now he's got that. So now he's got that, and you can tell what he's going to do. He's going to come out and make a presentation to the American people and say, hey, this is what's going on. Well, now we have Maricopa County, right?
Yes.
So if you look at Maricopa County, And I think you have there you go. You got Jesse Hoffman, an Arizona State senator, tweeted about Maricopa County and the shenanigans that were going on in Maricopa County. Now, we all know the famous Fox News called Maricopa County before in the last election, all this stuff.
Yeah.
There was major fraud there. We know this. So you have that, and he's basically saying, hey, look what's going on in Maricopa County. And what he's talking about is there's a company called Runbeck, and they're out of Maricopa County. They're a private company. They handle ballot printing, ballot delivery, ballot scanning, anything to do with the ballots. And there's the DOJ is about to drop the hammer on them. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see another raid, maybe in Maricopa County, with regard to this. And after that, I'm predicting either Michigan or Colorado, because you have the famous Secretary of State who's been on there. She is panicking right now about Trump and these raids. She talked about Georgia. And then in Michigan, we all know what went on there in 2020. So it's just, you can see the ducks lining up, right? You can see what he's going to do. So we have the SAVE Act, right? We have the SAVE Act. And the SAVE Act, it passed the House. Now, the only Republican to vote against the SAVE Act was Massey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so, what is the deal with him? I
don't know.
Well, it's like everybody out of Kentucky is a douchebag. Okay? You got Massey, you got Mitch McConnell. Like, what is with these guys, It's these guys, I don't know what the deal is, but he's the only one that voted against the SAVE Act. So now it goes to the Senate. And if you've been watching all week, you've been watching all these senators join and be a co-sponsor of the bill. So you have Rand Paul, you have John Thune, you have a bunch of these guys all signing on to be co-sponsors, right?
Yeah.
So now it goes to John Thune. Well, you need 60 votes.
Okay.
This is where, here's the math, people. So, and Cam in Virginia, me in Washington, people in Colorado, senators there in these blue states are probably not going to do it. So you have, especially New York. So you need 60 votes. Okay. Right. That means you need 7 Democrats to join Republicans. That's not including Mitch McConnell, Murkowski, Collins, Mitch McConnell. So, the famous rhinos. Yeah. That's not including them, right? So it's never going to happen, right? So that's why they're telling John Thune to go nuclear and to bypass the filibuster. That's why they're saying, go nuclear. Just do it, Right. You see Elon Musk doing it. Elon Musk is calling to nuke the filibuster. You see Nicki Minaj now saying to do it.
Yeah.
You're seeing 50 Cent, the rapper 50 Cent, come out and saying doing it.
It's so wild to see all this shit unfold. It's crazy.
Wow.
You're seeing all these people say, hey, let's do this. You're seeing musicians, you're seeing all kinds of people. Think about it, When I go to the store, I got to show ID if I want beer. If I go in a bar, I got to show ID. If I go redo my tabs on my car, I got to show my ID. How many, if I buy cigarettes, I don't smoke, but when I did, I got to show ID,
Right.
How many things do we got to show ID for? When I go apply for a gym membership, I got to show ID, right?
Right.
When I buy fireworks, I got to show ID. So it's just ridiculous. This is all about votes. This is what they're talking about. And their Democratic talking points, Jim Crow 2.0. You know how many African Americans I've been seeing and Hispanics on Twitter and Rumble and social media saying, you guys Democrats are so full of crap. You know what I mean? It's all about power. It's all about staying in power. And so that they can get rich and get money.
How about the whole thing about where they're trying to scare women? Like, oh, if your name doesn't match your ID, if you got married, then you can't vote. Have you seen that?
I was hearing about it today. Yeah.
Okay.
It's, you're going to disenfranchise.
Talking about this doesn't make any sense. It's so much.
Yeah. You're going to disenfranchise this person. Right. It's always about disenfranchising some person. It's ridiculous. Sure. They're the first ones to always bring up race. You notice that?
Yes.
they always bring up race, and it's like Don Lemon. Oh my God, what are they going to do to
it's
black
low
people?
hanging fruit. That's all it is. Low hanging fruit. It's easy.
Yes.
So back to the tweet.
Okay.
So, and I think you have some video from John Solomon on that.
Yes. Let me bring that up.
Go ahead, play that.
I've been telling you all week, keep an eye in Arizona. Keep an eye in Arizona. I think there's a Georgia-like event in Arizona, like what happened in Fulton County. I think tomorrow is a likely day. So I just want to put that on your calendar. Keep an eye tomorrow. I see Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem going down there. Now, why is that important? The Homeland Security Department oversees the election machines and election counting capabilities. CISA and the Homeland Security Department deal with that. The FBI Justice Department deal with criminal violations. So she's down there for a reason, and I think my reporting suggests that there'll be some sort of important election integrity event tomorrow, Maricopa County in Arizona. That'll be the second state after Georgia to have that sort of treatment. So put it on your calendar, get it ready, and we'll have you covered here at Real America's Voice and justthenews.com.
So speaking of Real America's Voice, when I was out living in California back in 2020, Maricopa was being just screamed to the top of the roof, and then Georgia came in. Almost a distant second in regards to what was all going on with the miscounting on the elections and recounting the votes, and a matter of needing to recount the votes. So now here we are, a few years later, 6 years later, and wow, finally something is finally being done.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta understand. The two things that this is about is power. Democrats staying in power, so they can make money and get rich, and it's about money. And let me, they did there was a graph that was put out. If anybody wants to follow Tony Segura on Twitter, and he did this graph, and it was pretty great, and basically he hits the nail on the head. And it's something that we talked about maybe 3 podcasts ago. It was all it was a controlled demolition, right? So you have Alejandro Mayorkas, who dismantled the border, right, and enforcement deliberately, right? He did it deliberately. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended mass parole programs. He ended catch and release, or he instituted catch and release.
Yeah. And
then, there was a network of NGOs and planners and think tanks, Soros Foundation, Tides Foundation, Catholic Charities. There was a Lutheran one, and they were all getting money. Everybody's getting money off it, right? Yeah. And the Democrats are getting votes, and they're staying in power. And when you get votes, you stay in power. When you stay in power, you can be Nancy Pelosi and stock trade. You know what I mean? So it's all about money and power. And so when you follow the money, here it is right here. I got it right here. So Lutheran Immigration Service, International Rescue Committee received hundreds of millions from HHS, it's all about that, and this was three things that merged together. Power to reshape the electorate so Democrats can stay in forever.
Yeah.
Profit, you also get profit through cheap labor and through, if you stay in power like Nancy Pelosi, you get details on stock trading, right? So did we all see who was testifying? Pam Bondi was testifying in Congress the other day, and I think it was, who was it? I think it was Ted Lieu or one of these guys were saying something, and she was just going back right at him, saying, "Oh yeah, I hear you're the best stock trader out there." That's what this is about, and it's about control, to just destabilize identity. So dissolve borders, consolidate federal and corporate power. That's what this is about: money and power. It's a greed and a lust for money and power.
Yeah, and they make it too easy. They make it too easy to vote in the state of California. You're right there at the DMV, and right there when you're getting your license, you can check off a little box. Would you like to register to vote? And it's like that in a number of states. But I mean, being a former California resident, it's just they made it a law for non-citizens in the state of California to be able to obtain a driver's license.
Right, and when you have mass migration, also, So there's a byproduct of it too. When you have mass migration, a country loses their identity. Now listen, I'm Mexican. I'm saying this as a second generation Hispanic. My dad is sitting in Guadalajara right now, right? Okay. So he retired. He went back to Guadalajara. He's on his farm. You know, my mom's here with me in Washington. But I'm saying this as a Hispanic. We need to deport illegals. There's no way to say it. You know, we lose our identity. Okay. Now, I don't know. I don't know if it was the last podcast or podcast before that. You see Europe suffering the same thing, right?
Yes.
And, you know, there was a book that, you know, my father-in-law is a pastor. He gave me a book when I married my wife. This is back 2002. It was called The 10 Offenses by Pat Robertson. And I was on an airplane. I was reading it. We're going back to California to visit my grandma before she passed away. And there's an interesting part in there. And this was in 2002. Okay. And he was talking about France. How in France, because of their mass migration, what's happening is when you bring in these Muslim people or people from Africa or whatever, you know, their birth rate is they have 6 or 7 kids, where the official birth rate for the French is they have 1 kid, maybe 2, right? So over the years, the birth rate declines, right? And the identity of your country is now different. That's why you have these you know, don't you think it's crazy you have these no-go zones in France and Sweden and in England, all these different countries? You have no-go zones. You can't go there. Like, this is my country, and I can't go down, you know, if I'm in California, I can't go down Hollywood Boulevard, or I can't go down, you know, it's fully taken over. It's like, well, what is this, you know?
Right.
So the byproduct
we have no-go zones in America too, though. You know that?
So maybe some states, like maybe Dearborn, Michigan, but, you know, that's the byproduct of mass migration is you start to lose self-identity. So look in Texas right now, they want to build an Islamic city or a Muslim city or whatever it is. So now Ken Paxton's having to deal with that, right?
Yeah.
You look at Minnesota. You have Little Somalia. You look at Michigan. You have Dearborn, Michigan. You have what's going on there. You know, it's nice to be the freest country in the world and the most welcoming country in the world. Yeah. But sometimes you have to say, hey, man, like, listen, you need to assimilate and you need to understand, hey, man, we are who we are because we are a Christian nation. We are the most loving and freest nation, and we're based on Judeo-Christian values. So we'll welcome you, but you have to assimilate. It's not that we don't like you. It's not that we don't love you or we don't want to love on you or accept you or whatever, but you have to learn our ways. This is our country. This is not your country. If you want to go in the damn streets and raise your flag, and yeah, I'm talking about the Hispanics too. They want to go and raise the Mexican flag. Get the fuck out. I'm sorry. Get the fuck out of the country. Go back to your country. If your country is so great, you want to raise the Somali flag, the Mexican flag, the Nicaraguan flag, whatever flag, go back. Go back.
Right.
You know, like, I'm sorry. That's the way it is, you know?
Yeah.
So
when I lived in California, I saw people, shouting out "Viva Mexico," and my sister-in-law is from Peru, and she immigrated here in the United States and did it the correct way. And she's in agreement with us on a lot of things that we're talking about.
But,
yes.
Right. And,
sure.
And being a native Californian, Southern California, born and raised in California, you'll notice something similar in Florida, Texas, and California. There's a difference between being Hispanic, being like me, born and raised in LA, right? Or being Chicano, and then being Mexico from Mexico. There's a big difference.
Yes.
It is.
People that follow like me that are born and raised in California or are Chicano, you know, we're for America, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that's why you see a divide. If you ever look at Trump's poll numbers, if you look at, his poll numbers among Hispanics, you'll actually see the majority of Hispanics are for his migration rules. The majority of Hispanics are for him deporting illegal people, right? Because people like us view America as we're American. This is our house, like that's it, So anyways, you will, what you're going to see is Trump will implement a voter ID. So I think what he's going to do is he's going to create this executive order, right? And implement voter ID. He's going, and then once that happens, you're probably going to see some Democrats, maybe a lot, hopefully a lot, lose in the midterms. And then everybody will see the corruption because they'll say, hey, for you guys in Virginia, you know, you guys might lose Democrat representation because, hey, man, now you don't have all these dead people voting. Now you don't have all these people without ID. You don't have all these illegal people voting, right? Same here in Washington, you know. So, you know, the famous King County here is the most populated county here in Washington, right?
Yeah.
And there's a reason why California, Washington, Oregon, Michigan, Colorado, and Virginia does not want to give up their voter rolls. There's a reason why there's 17 or is it 25 lawsuits. It was 17 a while ago. I think today I saw 25 lawsuits to blue states to turn over their voter rolls. There's a reason why they don't want to do it, because if they do it, they lose power. They're out of power. You're really not going to have Democrats controlling legislatures because now you know these dead people. So when this happens, let's not forget, this will follow Trump's executive order from March of 2025. His executive order that was preserving American elections. Everybody can look that up. That's just going to follow that EO, so it's in sync. And then there was rumors today from I saw it on Newsmax and some other places that Trump's going to start unveiling evidence of foreign powers meddled in the 2020 election. And then he's also going to start revealing intelligence that was kept from the American people. So he's going to come out. I think what he's going to do is when he comes out and does his executive order.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, he's going to say no Dominion, no Smartmatic, no machines, right? Let's not forget what Maduro's talking right now. For sure, Maduro's talking, right?
Yeah.
And let's remember that Maduro is part of Hammer's scorecard. And we know that because all these generals came out, like McInerney and all them said, hey, this is Hammer's scorecard. We know this because we did this. The American government did this to other governments, and I personally took part in it. So I know this. So you have a lot of military generals coming out and say, Colonel Tata, Colonel Tony Schaefer, all these guys saying, this was Hammer's scorecard all the way. This is what we did to other governments, you know?
Yeah.
And it got used on the U.S. So don't forget, Maduro's talking. So I think that you're going to have a combination of what Maduro told him, the Fulton County, Georgia stuff come out, and whatever's going on in Maricopa County, that's going to be the basis for executive order. Sure. And if he makes an executive order, it's an executive order. Who's going to stop it?
Right.
Right?
Right.
No.
Who's going to stop it? Yeah, who's going to stop his executive order? So how does that apply to us?
Okay.
Two ways. Number one, for people living here in Washington or California, Oregon, Virginia, Michigan, any blue state, know that I want to use the word freedom, but you know, there'll be relief here pretty soon, because I anticipate some of these legislatures losing Democrats because now you don't have all these dead people, illegals, whatever, people that are voting for them. The jig is up, right?
Right.
So that should be happy. And then once Republicans take over, or once there is, I'll just use my state for instance, once it's not a Democrat supermajority or a majority, now the legislation that goes through can be stopped, or some stuff could be overturned. And who knows how many of these governor races were affected by all this stuff. Because like I threw the numbers out. I forget the numbers, but I think Trump lost by 112,000 votes in Fulton and Georgia, right? And just in Fulton County, it was way over that, right? So, you know, some of these governor races too, who knows who really won? Who knows?
Well, I mean, let's bring back Arizona, where Carrie Lake and what was her name? Who was Secretary of the State at the time? Was it Katie Hobbs, I believe? And wow, how did the Secretary of State, first of all, be able to run for such a higher position when she had control over the votes? It's just a terrible situation that's been going on in Arizona. So I'm glad that Maricopa is being revisited in regards to the counting the votes again, because there seems to be a lot of underhanded things going on over there, in my opinion.
Right. So let's take Virginia. I think Virginia would. I'm not sure about. Okay, so for Washington and California and Arizona, I'm pretty sure it's dead people, people voting illegally, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Virginia, I don't know. Cam, you would have a better idea of the Hispanic or illegal and Hispanic population there.
Yeah.
You know, so is it illegal or is it a lot of fraud? You know what I mean? Because you're not actually a southern state; you're kind of in the Northeast, right? So
right, it's both.
So your new governor, did she really win? You know, that's the question.
Believe she did.
I mean, the question now is, did she really win? Now, if she really didn't win, and if Katie Hobbs really didn't win, and Carrie Lake really won, and let's just say, hypothetically for my state, Lauren Culp or Reichart really won and not Inslee or Ferguson, then now all these things that they're passing, now are they actually valid?
Are they null and void or valid? Yeah.
All the taxes, all the gun laws, everything that they're trying to pass now.
We're definitely trying to question all that for sure over here. Yeah.
Right. Because now they're trying to pass a state income tax here now. Well, if these Democrats aren't really elected legally, then how are they passing this stuff now? So now is all this stuff null and void. So everybody watching here, right now, you got to ask yourself, if you're in a blue state, what is really actually valid? What is really constitutional? Did it really pass?
It's a valid point that you're saying.
Right. I want to bring up a map they shared with me earlier about states that Harris won versus the states that require ID. And so and with the exception of Arizona, which we keep bringing up because of Maricopa County and what happened there, and also Georgia is kind of in that mix as well, because we talked about Georgia last time John was on 2 weeks ago. But everywhere else is a fairly solid red, except for the blue states that you see pictured here. And these are the states that Kamala Harris had won. So again, we got to reiterate, would she really have won if there was voter ID? And also if the voter rolls were cleaned up, as we're, continuing our conversation about.
So there's 2 states that I could speak directly to, right? I was born and raised in California, Southern California. I moved to Washington 2001. So number 1 in California, everything south of LA, especially Orange County, is deep red. So if we go back to 2020, we remember all of a sudden all these red counties turning blue. Irvine, Irvine, Monterey Park, Alhambra, like just everything down there, Orange, and anywhere down, San Diego, all kind of in that area was always deep red, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden went blue.
Right.
How does that happen in a couple years,
Right.
How does that happen? So and then in Washington, there were some counties that went blue too. And it was kind of weird because most of Washington's red. It's only King, Snohomish, and Pierce County that are blue, where everything else is red. But we noticed counties started going blue. Well, how is that happening, right? So you got to ask yourself, if you do the math.
Yeah.
You do the math. If you look at the census, numbers, okay. So let's just take my county, for instance, Stevens County, right? It's the darkest, reddest county in the state where I live, in my county. Okay. And then if that happened, I would look at the census data and say, okay, well, only 20,000 people moved or 10,000 people moved into the county, but there's, 300,000 people in this county, hypothetically. I'm just throwing numbers out there. How does that change the demographic? It doesn't, right? So you gotta do the math. People got to do the math and start raising questions. Say, hey, how is this happening?
Right.
So I think that Trump's going to do this, executive order. And exactly that map, those are the states that are fighting and not to give the DOJ their voter rolls. And you got to ask yourself, why are you not giving your voter rolls?
Yeah.
Why are they now in California and these blue states? And in Virginia, why are they now making laws and ordinances to stop DHS and ICE from being at polling places? Just by doing that, you're already saying out loud, hey, man, we rely on illegal people to vote.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even just illegal votes for that matter. And an interesting story, a friend of mine from high school moved away from California, I want to say in 2018 or 2019, and relocated over to Pennsylvania. California sent her a mail-in ballot.
No way.
And so this is for the 2020 election.
Wow.
And yeah, true story. I'm like, why is California sending a non-California resident mail-in ballot? And so I'm not a fan of this mail-in ballot thing. And I'm in a wheelchair. I'll ride my wheelchair to the local polling place. I don't care if it's 1, 2, 3 miles. I still have a little bit of a strength left in me, but I think the mail-in ballot should be strictly reserved to those that are actually physically not able to make it to the polling place, that are still mentally sound.
Right.
I mean, it's a big money scheme racket, is what it is.
Yeah.
And the Open Border Network, like I said, it started with Mayorkas, which this guy, I think a lot of people are visibly upset. A lot of us patriots, because these guys should be in jail. They committed treason to this nation, and they should be held responsible. They should be arrested.
Yeah.
And you got people like Open Societies Foundation, you have Ford Foundation, you have Tides, you have Rockefeller Brothers Fund, you have Catholic Charities, Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services, you have the Atlantic Council, International Rescue Committee, you have HIAS, which is HIS. You have so much, and then it gets filtered down to IOM, the World Bank, IMF, UNHCR. Everybody gets a piece of the pie. Everybody gets a piece of the money,
Wow.
And it's absolutely ridiculous. In the meantime, while we're having this mass migration, we're also having threats like single middle-aged Chinese guys come in through the border, which if you're looking at a lot of these guys down the Darien Gap, like what's his name, Michael Yond, and you're looking at Michael Yond, Laura Logan, or Mike Adams, they're all talking about coming through the Darien Gap. These are all PLA reservists. Then you got these Islamic terrorists. And remember that famous video? There was that famous video that went around social media, and there was this Arab guy, pretty tall guy, and he says, "You have no idea what's coming," and it was coming through the San Diego border.
Yeah.
If you guys remember that from a couple years ago, he said, "You have no idea what's coming."
Wow.
So it's just like it's crazy.
Yeah.
The amount of self-destruction an administration can do to this country.
Oh, in just a short time, for that matter. Yeah, it's devastating as what has all happened.
Right. And there's a lot of patriot groups going down doing border ops and stuff like that. There's a lot of people that still do it, and if you're a patriot and you're going down to do border ops, and you're down in Arizona, you're down in Texas doing border ops and stuff, you're labeled a fanatic, you're labeled this, you're labeled that. Never mind the ranchers asking for help, never mind all these other people asking for help. You're a militia, you're a white supremacist, you're this, you're that. God forbid you want the best for your country. God forbid.
You're not lying with that one. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And the disgusting things that happen to the girls. I'm not going to get descriptive or give much of any detail, but it's, they're finding these little caves with, some of personal garments and what they call like a rape kit kind of things, or, stuff that just happens to these girls. And it's disgusting on what these coyotes do to the girls.
There's a lot of that happening right now. I think there's a huge reckoning that a lot of people need to find their strength to stand where we need to stand. There's a lot of things that are happening right now where people, there's a line in the sand. You need to ask yourself where you want to be standing.
Yeah.
Right now.
And I think that, we got a glimpse. We got a glimpse with January 6th. We got a glimpse of how far, well, we actually got two glimpses. I'm sorry, let me back up.
Okay.
Right.
We got a glimpse with COVID of how far an administration, Republican or Democrat, can push and take away your rights. Right?
For sure.
Mandatory vaccination. You need to have a vaccination card. You can't go out. You have to wear a mask. If you're a business, you have to be essential. And then we have January 6th. You know, how close were those two events? So then you have January 6th, and it's the same thing like with border ops and everything else. You have an administration that will go after you if you love your country, if you're a patriot. Now, hey, I'm not trying to take away from people that did stupid stuff. Okay, people did stupid stuff,
Yeah.
I personally would not have gone in and taken stuff out, carried stuff out. Those are boneheads, right?
Right.
But all the other stuff, I could spend hours going into how the head guy for the FBI in Michigan with the Gretchen Whitmer plot, where those guys got busted, they were set up in that kidnapping plot, how he got promoted to run the January 6th thing in DC. I go on for hours about that, right?
Yeah.
But how far will government go to put you down and put patriots down because you love your country, or love a president,
Yeah.
And, although I don't love Trump, my personal belief is I don't believe Trump's our hero. I don't think Trump's going to save us. And I think that a lot of people do think that, and I think they're foolish. I think they're foolish,
Yeah.
And, here's the thing that I try to bat home, and Cam, you know this, and Tim, you know this, and a lot of people on here watching me know this. I'm going to say this. When it comes to what's going to happen with Iran, when it comes to what happens with China or anything in this country, listen, man, no administration is going to save you. Trump's not going to come and save you. He's not going to bring you food. He's not going to set up your comms and work your radio for you. He's not going to feed your family. Okay. Right. All these people that think that Trump's going to serve their problems, I hate to say it, but you're as smart as those Q people.
Right.
It's just not happening, so you need to get out and you need to prepare for not only natural disaster, but learn how to work your radio, your comms.
Wait, John, am I hearing you saying that people need to return to being self-sufficient and taking care of their own?
Yes, self-sufficiency is the way to go. There's
right?
That famous, hey, what's the saying? Expect a self-rescue. Nobody's coming for us, guys.
Right.
Nobody's coming for us. If you don't think so, go ask any of those J6ers over there who went and rescued them. A lot of those guys are my friends, my personal friends that spent time in the gulag over there or were in jail around the country. Nobody came to save them. Nobody's coming to save us,
Correct.
So in a nutshell, what I want to say is, so we end this. Whatever's going to happen with Iran, expect some pushback from them.
Yes. For sure.
What do I mean? What do I mean by that? I mean, they could hack us. They could hack Verizon. They could hack T-Mobile. They could hack whatever. China could do the grid. They could do whatever, right? There's going to be pushback. Maybe some of these guys, because remember, if you're a big Sean Ryan fan and you're watching Sean Ryan videos and you're a big Sarah Adams fan, remember Hamza bin Laden put all these guys together. So you have Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, ISIS. What's the Somali one? There's the Somali one. All these groups are now together and they're all here. So if we go after Iran, who knows what they might do here, right?
Sure.
Maybe they'll attack a subway. Maybe they'll attack a bus terminal. Maybe they'll do an airport, whatever. So
maybe another big old sports event like the Super Bowl. I mean, a lot of eyes were on that in those regards. So yeah, there's
I think in our last podcast we talked about how they had the nuke sniffer over there, right? And we're showing pictures of the nuke sniffer. So there's always a potential for something to happen. And they love soft targets. They love movie theaters. They love malls. Look at the Mumbai attacks that they did. They love train stations. So, it's just everybody needs to be self-sufficient. Everybody needs to be ready. What does that mean?
And
go
vigilant.
out and train. Yeah. Go out and train, stack food, do what you got to do, be ready, but expect if we go after Iran and do what a lot of people are saying what we're going to do, expect pushback in some way or form.
Right.
And don't be naive to think, oh, I live in a rural little town like me outside Spokane. Nothing will ever happen. No, That's not true. It could happen.
Correct.
You know, don't think, oh, I don't live in a big city. I don't live in Seattle. I don't live in LA. I don't live in Atlanta or Miami. Therefore, nothing will happen. No, it can happen in a small little town, because think about it.
See,
if I wanted to instill fear in a populace, right?
Yeah.
The 9/11 hijackers, why did they strike? Why did they strike the Twin Towers? What was their reasoning? Do you guys remember what they said? Their reasoning was?
I remember what was said the day before by Donald Rumsfeld, but
they wanted to strike fear in America in the heart of America's financial heart, and the World Trade Center was a symbol of the financial heart. So that's why they chose the World Trade Center. So if I wanted to strike fear into American populace, I wouldn't go do a big city.
No, you're going to strike fear in rural America.
I'd go in rural America. I'd go
so that everybody can be touched.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you're not hidden. We see you for sure. That's why, I mean, I have a lot of kids, and the first thing that I teach them, one of the first lessons, is pay attention to your surroundings.
Yeah.
Easy. That's the easiest lesson to teach the little ones.
Yeah.
Because that could be what saves your life.
Yeah. Well, it was about 4 or 5 days ago, I gave my neighbor's kid a FRS radio. So yeah, I'm keeping in touch with the kid through my ham radio, because I'm tuning into that frequency that the kid's on. And yeah, I think I created a monster, but at the same time, the kid is learning lingo, how to talk.
And that's the most important thing, that along with this fight, that we teach the next generation. Yes. And that's hard as hell to do in this day and age, to continue to question things and carry on the fight.
Yeah. I'm surprised my radio hasn't gone off with the kid talking.
Yeah. I mean, situational awareness. And as we're speaking right now, I'm looking over at this screen here.
Yeah.
I know you guys can't see, but I got 3 monitors here.
Okay. I got 2.
We got some more. We got some strata. Yeah. We got some strata tankers now leaving MacDill, heading for Bulgaria, and then on to the Middle East. So there's a lot more movement tonight as we speak,
Wow.
It's getting hot, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, expect some pushback. What that will consist of.
Yeah.
Who knows? It could be anything, but it's better to be prepared, And if you can still carry, if you're a guy, a husband, and you could still carry, talk to your wife, get her to conceal carry.
Yes.
There's times where she's out, like my wife, out with the kids, running errands, doing stuff, or there's time you're out with the kids. So make sure that your family is very trained, at least knows the basics, knows how to get on a radio call, whatever, even medical wise, know stuff like that. So
Yep.
Yeah, guys. I mean, that's what I got for today. It's going to be interesting.
Nice.
Now, I know, like the last time we got off of this podcast, like the next day there was so much stuff going on, and then 2 or 3 days, I was like, "Oh, I told you." So, guys, so just keep an eye on what's going on, and then, that's what I got.
Sounds good,
very good.
brother.
Well, be sure to join in every first and third Tuesday for the World News and Views with John Valle. Thank you, John, for joining in tonight.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, and look for that executive order that Trump's going to do. I really think that he's going to do it. I think
I agree.
He'll have he'll come out to the American people and say what he's going to say. It's either going to be him or the DOJ, and talk about the election interference. I'm looking for a press conference. It's going to happen. Either it's going to be him or the DOJ, and talk about the election interference. And guess what, guys? From that point on, it's going to be good news, because a lot of these Democratic representatives in all these states, you know what? They're not going to be there for long. Look at Jasmine Crockett. She's gone, man. They redistrict. She's gone. We don't have to hear her no more, Her seat is gone because they redistrict. So that's another way they're doing it. So listen, guys, it all goes up from here as far as the election stuff goes. So it's really stuff to be happy about.
Well, it's about time the voter rolls get cleaned up, and I'm glad someone took initiative of doing so.
For sure. I agree.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all with the time we have. Be sure to catch us on Thursday for more Patriots 3, Life, Liberty, Pursuit of Happiness. And definitely help support the channel. Share it out. Give us a like, follow where you can. Again, we're on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, Twitch TV, iHeart, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So go ahead and give us a like, share, follow at Tim Holliday TV. That's TimHolliday TV. And until Thursday, have a great evening.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Cam.